Hey everybody, welcome into Folklore and Flourish. You're here with Jane and Mark on Cinco de Mayo.
What do you do for Cinco de Mayo?
I wish my friend Hazel happy birthday every year.
That's a pretty cool thing to do on Cinco de Mayo. I'm glad I set you up for that.
Yeah, I also want to do something I feel like she would enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Some self-care or self-reflection stuff, you know? She doesn't eat bland tacos.
Not
Like too
spicy.
spicy. I don't know. I like the date like 5-5, 4-4. I like those days of the
So I love that day.
Yeah, so I love that like one of my best friends is 5'5". It's pretty cool. She's also like the epitome of the green aura. No, she's always been that way. But today we are on the final element. So we are jumping into the seed. Okay, so we're looking at the earth. We've looked at how water connects us all, air brings life into us, breathes life into us, and how fire, it sets life into motion. But now we're looking at the seed. So now we're looking at the actual planting and how the cycles begin.
Speaking of seed, you need the water, you need the rain for the seed to grow. So the fact that it's raining is good. But it was funny because I made the joke. I don't think it rained once in April. And if it did, it barely did.
Like the April shower.
Yes. And I was like, April showers? What? How about May showers? What are we going to get? June flowers now? I don't know. I like talk to myself and tell myself jokes and then use them on other people sometimes. And
Well, I'm excited because we are finishing with the final element. But after this one, they are all coming into place. Now they're going to be working together.
Captain Planet.
What?
Captain Planet and the Planeteers. Your powers combine. And then they're like, but what?
Sounds like something in Rick and Morty.
And then he comes flying out of the ground and he's blue.
I have no idea what
And he's wearing a suit.
Yeah, no, but we're talking about this and how the cycles and all the elements are going to start working together now after we introduce this one.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's what Captain Planet does.
But I don't know
He fights bad guys and pollution.
Yeah, so it's exactly like the Rick and Morty thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's great about it is they would show all the stuff from the 90s of what the big oil companies and stuff were doing. And they were making them evil villains in the show, but getting away with it because they weren't putting a name on it.
Yeah.
But kind of like
but
what
everyone
we were just
knows
talking
who
about.
it is.
Yeah. So it was pretty.
So
yeah, I love putting all of them together.
We kind of look into a little bit today of why it's so important of how we like treat the earth. It's not always meant to be full harvest season. Because imagine if it was. Like, look at how we treat the world already. Imagine if we could harvest year round. Nothing would survive. We have to be taught how to live in that darkness and that stillness. And we kind of kick that off today with the story about Persephone, So, but with that, I don't know, I'm just excited to get started with this one, but it's potential waiting. And the lesson for today is growth begins unseen. So we're going to think about with the question is what is silently growing within us? So what are we nurturing silently within us? Okay, so we're going to think about that today. We're going to think about some of the other people that could be involved as we listen to the stories. But after that, we are going to today plant something. So it can either be a transplant or planting an actual seed. We have all those seeds, so we could do that.
Yeah.
But today you're going to plant something no matter how small. Just speak to it with love. So that is what we are going to do today. You ready?
I today some things. That's awesome.
Yeah, buddy.
It's going to be an exciting time. I tried to put a fly in.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
don't have the Venus
I tried to
traps.
Venus fly traps. I'm pretty stoked about it. Seem to eat a by fly.
Yeah, I've been really focusing on the plants and thinking about like especially getting the giant pothos. I just see the mesh and it's just people are growing them on one, just having it going up. And so I think that if we started now in the next year,
Some big ones.
that could be the one that we plant today.
Like, honestly, if you pulled the one off that's on the window, 'cause it's already got those huge, like, things,
Mhm.
if we let that root, that thing be, but we could do it with any of
We could do it with any of them, yeah.
this
Let's just
week's.
start it with a new one and we can
Yeah,
talk to it, yeah. But with that today, I think we're ready to go work on it.
yeah,
It's exciting. So we're gonna think about what we're nurturing inside while we're doing this. I don't know, it's just it makes me happy to be around the plants and yeah, we have some that are struggling, but it kind of makes me think of like how you said, we'd rather fail a little bit so that we can learn. And so I'm definitely learning, like when the plants are talking, like
yeah.
too much water, too little, am I too hot? Like that one that was in the books. It was just too hot in here for that one. Like I could tell by the leaves, and I'm glad that I'm getting used to it, like speaking the language of like the plants. It reminds me of the book we read together, The Alchemy, how you learn the language of the world, the soul of the world.
Yeah,
I think that we're both learning how to do that in different ways. And I'm excited that you're helping. Like you're getting it ready for outside. And I'm keeping things alive in here so that we can move them outside.
exciting. Just like the area, it's gonna be the coolest it's ever been, I'll tell you that.
And I've thought about it and I really would enjoy a she shed. But when we get there, in our new property, I want it big enough to be like a big craft area for me.
Wow,
And the top part is like a loft where you can paint, but it's also the podcast area for me. So it's either natural light or it's the controlled light. hmm
yeah.
Well, one side where I'm painting could be the natural light. I do. But yeah, that's what I want. I thought about it because I want like a sewing area downstairs and I want all this stuff out so I know what I'm working with, the jewelry, and then the little office area where we are doing the book stuff and typing. Yeah. But with that today, we are going to look at 4 stories and we're going to look at it through Greek, Mali, Chinese, and Celtic folklore today. So we're going to look at the seed and happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy birthday, Hazel. And
Birthday, Hazel.
we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Love you guys.
Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1: Persephone, the seed beneath the earth. In the age when the earth bore its fruits in endless abundance, and the seasons had not yet taken their turning, there lived Persephone, daughter of Demeter, the great keeper of the harvest and the growing things of the world. The land flourished beneath Demeter's care, fields ripened without fail, flowers rising in their time without interruption, and the earth itself held in a state of constant giving. Persephone moved among the meadows, gathering flowers, her presence bound to the life that rose from the soil, for she was both child of the earth and reflection of its renewal. The world knew no absence in this time, no fading, no return to stillness, for life moved only forward, unbroken and unchanging. Yet beneath the surface of the earth, beyond the reach of light and growing things, there existed another realm, unseen but ever present, the domain of Hades, lord of the underworld, where the dead dwelt in silence. The earth was not only a place of growth, but also a place that held what had passed, and within this unseen depth lay the other half of the cycle that had not yet been revealed. As Persephone wandered among the fields, the earth itself opened beneath her, and from its depths rose Hades, who took her into his realm below. The ground closed above her, and the light of the world was cut off, replaced by the still and shadowed quiet of the underworld. Above, Demeter searched for her daughter, and as she searched, the earth began to change. The field that had once flourished fell into stillness, the crops ceased to grow, and the land grew barren beneath the weight of loss. The world, which had once known only abundance, now felt the absence of what had been taken. Persephone remained below, in a realm where nothing grew, where the seeds of life lay dormant, held within the earth but unable to rise. Hades offered her a place within this world, and though she longed for the light above, she became bound to the underworld through the seeds of the pomegranate that she consumed, a fruit of the depths that tied her to that realm. The seed, small and hidden, carried within it the power to bind, to transform, to connect what is seen with what lies beneath. Through it, Persephone became both of the earth above and the world below, a being who would not remain in one place alone. When at last Persephone was allowed to return, rising from the underworld to the surface of the earth, Demeter's grief was lifted, and the land responded with life. The fields grew once more, and the flowers returned, and the earth moved again in abundance. Yet Persephone's return was not permanent, for the seed she had taken bound her to the cycle of descent and return. Each year she would descend again into the underworld, and as she did, the earth would follow her into stillness, the fields lying dormant, the seeds resting beneath the soil, and each year she would rise again, bringing with her the return of growth, the renewal of life, the unfolding of what had been hidden beneath the earth. Thus the world came to know the cycle of seasons, the movement between growth and rest, between presence and absence, between what is seen and what lies beneath. The seed became the symbol of this cycle, for it is buried in darkness before it rises, unseen before it becomes visible, held in stillness before it breaks forth into life. Persephone carried this truth within her, moving between worlds, embodying the rhythm of the earth itself. In her descent, the world remembers its stillness, and in her return, it remembers its power to grow. Thus, life does not end in what is buried, but waits, gathering strength beneath the surface, until the time comes for it to rise again. Story 2, Amma, the seed that holds the world. In the beginning, before the earth had taken its place and before the sky stretched above it, there existed Amma, the creator who held within himself the fullness of all things not yet revealed. There was no separation of land and sky, no movement of wind or water, only the quiet and complete unity of existence contained within Amma's being. Within him lay the seed of the world, small in form yet infinite in what it contained, holding within it the patterns of creation, the movement of stars, and the life that would one day fill the earth. This seed was not a simple object, but a living form, a point of origin where all things were gathered before they were given shape. It turned within Amma, carrying the rhythm of becoming, the first motion within what had been still. Yet the world could not remain contained forever, for within the seed lay the need to unfold, to move outward into form. Amma prepared the seed, shaping it with care, ensuring that it would carry within it the order necessary for creation to emerge in balance. From this sacred seed came the first movement of the cosmos, unfolding into form as it opened, releasing what had been held within. The sky was stretched above and the earth was set below, yet both remained connected through the pattern that had been established within the seed itself. Within this unfolding, life began to take shape, not in fullness at once, but in stages, each part emerging according to the design that had been set in place from the beginning. The first beings were brought forth, carrying within them the knowledge of the seed, though not all would live in harmony with its order. Among these early creations was a being who disrupted the balance, whose actions caused the unfolding to become imperfect, introducing disorder into what had been intended as complete. Amma did not abandon the creation, but worked to restore balance, continuing the act of shaping, bringing forth new life that would carry the potential of harmony within it. The seed remained central to this process, for it held the original pattern, the form of what creation was meant to be, even as the world moved through its unfolding. As the world continued to grow and take shape, the presence of the seed remained within all things, hidden yet essential, a reminder that life begins in what is unseen. The plant that rose from the earth carried seeds within them, small and silent, yet holding the power to bring forth new life. The people, too, carried this pattern within them, the knowledge that creation is not only an act of beginning, but of continuation, a cycle that moves from seed to growth and back again. Amma remained as this source, the one who had first held the seed and set it into motion. His presence carried in the order of the world and in the patterns that govern life. The seed was not only the origin, but the promise of what could continue, the assurance that life would not end, but would return again and again through the unseen potential held within it. Thus, the world was shaped not only by what could be seen, but by what was hidden, by the small and silent beginnings that carry within them the fullness of life. In every seed that rests within the earth, there remains the memory of the first unfolding, the quiet beginning from which all things arise, waiting for the moment when it will break open and bring forth life once more. Story 3: Hou Ji, the seed of Millet, the birth of cultivation. In the early age when the world had been formed but the people did not yet know how to draw sustenance from the earth, the land lay vast and open, its soil rich yet untended, its potential unseen by those who walked upon it. The grasses grew wild and the rivers moved in their courses, yet there was no knowledge of cultivation, no understanding of how life might be drawn forth from the ground in a steady and sustaining way. In this time was born Hou Ji, whose name would come to mean Lord of Malay, a being set apart from others, marked from the beginning by his connection to the earth and his hidden power. His mother, Zhang Yuan, conceived him in a manner that spoke of divine origin, stepping into the footprint of a heavenly being, and thereby carrying within her the life that would bring change to the world. When Hou Ji was born, he was not embraced as other children were, for his nature seemed strange, his presence not easily understood. He was left upon the ground, exposed to the elements, yet the earth did not reject him. Instead, he endured, sustained by forces beyond ordinary care, protected by the very land to which he was bound. As he grew, Hou Ji did not turn away from the earth, but moved toward it, drawn to the soil as though it called to him. Where others saw only ground, he saw possibility, and where others walked without notice, he knelt and touched the land, observing its nature, its texture, its quiet responsiveness. He began to gather seeds, small and unassuming, yet holding within them the power to bring forth life. He planted them in the soil, pressing them into the earth and tending to them with patience, watching as they remained hidden beneath the surface. Time passed, and from the soil the first shoots emerged, rising from what had been buried, breaking through the ground into the light. Hou Ji watched and learned, understanding the growth required care, that the earth must be tended, that water and time were as essential as the seed itself. He cultivated Millet, guiding its growth, ensuring that it would return again and again, providing sustenance not only for himself but for others. Through his work, the land was no longer a place of uncertainty, but a source of nourishment, a foundation upon which life could be sustained in continuity rather than chance. As the knowledge of cultivation spread, the people began to follow the ways that Hou Ji had revealed, planting seeds, tending the fields, and learning the rhythms of growth and harvest. The seed became central to life, not only as food, but as a symbol of what begins unseen and rises into form. The earth was no longer simply walked upon, but worked with, respected as a partner of the sustaining of life. Hou Ji's presence remained within this practice, not only as a figure of the past, but as an enduring force within the act of cultivation itself. Each seed placed into the ground carried within it the memory of the first planting, the understanding that life emerges through patience, through care, through the unseen processes that unfold beneath the surface. People came to honor him, recognizing that through his actions, the world had changed, and what had once been uncertain had become reliable, that life could now be nurtured and sustained. Thus, the seed was not merely a beginning, but a continuation, a cycle that moved from planting to growth to harvest and back again, each stage essential to the whole. In every field that grew, in every harvest that it was gathered, there remained the presence of Hou Ji, the one who had first understood the language of the earth and brought forth the knowledge that allowed life to endure. The ground held within it endless possibility, yet it was through the act of planting that this possibility became real, through the placing of something small into the unseen, trusting that it would rise again in its time. Story 4: Danu, the seed, the Tuatha Dé Danann. In the early age when the land of Ir lay veiled in mist and the rhythms of the world were still gathering their form, there existed a presence both ancient and enduring, known as Danu, the great mother whose essence moved through river, soil, and sky alike. She was not bound to a single place, for her being flowed through the land itself, carried in the waters that nourished the earth, and in the unseen forces that stirred life from stillness. Before the great peoples of Ireland took their place upon the land, before the hills were named and the rivers called by their courses, Danu held within her the seed of the people not yet born, a lineage that would carry knowledge, power, and memory into the world. The seed was not a single object, but a gathering of potential, held within her as a source from which life could emerge. The land itself seemed to wait, as though aware that something would soon take root, something that would shape the future of the world that was coming into being. Within Danu, the unseen began to stir, as life prepares itself before it takes form, gathering strength and silence before the moment of emergence. From this hidden beginning came the Tuatha Dé Danann, the people of the goddess, born not in sudden arrival, but through a process that mirrored the growth of a seed beneath the soil. They came into the world carrying with them the knowledge of craft, of magic, of the unseen works that bind the visible world together. They were not as other peoples, for their origin lay not only in the land, but in the deeper forces that shaped it, drawn from the essence of Danu herself. They emerged into the world as those who understand both what is seen and what lies beneath, carrying within them the memory of their origin. Like a seed that breaks open beneath the ground, their arrival was both a beginning and a continuation, for they brought with them what had already been prepared in the unseen. The land received them, and they moved across it, shaping and being shaped by the world they entered. They built, they learned, and they carried forward the knowledge that had been held within them since their emergence, a reflection of the seed from which they had come. As they settled into the land, the presence of Danu did not withdraw, but remained within all things, within the rivers that flowed, within the soil that had held the roots of growing things, within the very air that moved across the hills. The Tuatha Dé Danann carried her within them, not as something separate, but as the source of their being, the origin that could not be left behind. The seed that had once been hidden had now become a living people. Yet the nature of the seed remained, for within each generation lay the potential for continuation, for growth, for renewal. The world itself moved in this way, from hidden beginning to visible form, from stillness into movement, from potential into life. Danu endured as the ground of this cycle, the presence beneath all things, the one who holds within herself the power of beginning. Thus, the story of Tuatha Dé Danann is not only a story of arrival, but of emergence, of life rising from what cannot be seen into what can be known. In every seed placed into the earth, in every life that begins unseen, there remains the echo of the first unfolding, the quiet and powerful truth that all things begin in what is hidden, and that from that hidden place life will rise again. Daily Thread from May 5th. Seeds rest where no eye can see. What is buried is not lost. The earth holds what will become. Growth begins in quiet patience. Life gathers before it rises. The unseen carries the future. What is placed shapes what becomes. All beginnings take root in silence.